what you just saw as Oglethorpe Avenue Elementary School. Oglethorpe Avenue Elementary School is located in Athens, Georgia. This presentation will introduce their dual language immersion program, and their dual language immersion program is the only one in Clark County. Before we talk about dual language immersion, let's look at the history of bilingual education in the United States. In early and mid-19th century, there were some pioneering private and public examples of bilingual education in the U.S. For example, German English schools. Closing the achievement gap is a big issue in the U.S. The growth in English language learners in the U.S. has led to claims that many such students are underachieving in the U.S. education system. There are also frequent occasions that language minorities show high dropout rates. There are usually two explanations. The first one is being bilingual. Some people believe that being bilingual will cause language confusion compared to mono-English speaking students. The second one is the lack of exposure to the majority language. The mainstream and transitional forms of education attempt to ensure a fast conversion to the majority language. This kind of sink or swim approach actually does more harm than good. In 1963, the first dual language immersion program was developed in Dade County, Florida, by a U.S. Cuban community. In September 1963, the Coralway Elementary School started a program that embraced both Spanish and English-speaking students. Title VII Bilingual Education Act was passed in 1968. Since 1990, there has been steady rise in the number of dual language immersion programs. Dual language immersion is not new, but it is new in Georgia. Now, it is more than 50 years since the first DLI program started in Florida, which is very close to Georgia. However, the first DLI was started by Dr. Giles in 2006. Although she was very passionate and tried hard, her school was finally closed for various reasons. Then, Dr. Dunn, the principal of Oglethorpe Avenue Elementary School, started dual language immersion at her school after she attended a conference called La Cosecha in New Mexico in 2015. Dr. Dunn was inspired after the conference, and she decided to start DLI at her school next school year. And in August 2016, everything was ready for dual language immersion. Before we talk about dual language immersion at the school, let's look at the big picture of Georgia. According to the government census of last year, there are 10,429,379 people in Georgia. 9.6% are Hispanic or Latino. From 2008 to this year, the number of Hispanic students enrolled in Clark County schools from K to 12 increased from 2,348 to 3,331. As you can see on this page, there are 54 DLI programs, and most of these schools are near Atlanta area. I said dual language immersion or DLI many times so far, but what is it? Dual language immersion or DLI is also known as two-way immersion. It is a strong form of education which aims to develop bilingualism and biliteracy. Students in this program are instructed in mixed languages, specifically the majority language and minority languages. The long-term goals of this program are societal and educational. Students in DLI are expected to fulfill maintenance, pluralism, and enrichment. Students in DLI classrooms are usually 50% English native speakers and 50% minority language speakers. Educators expect that students in this program will achieve bilingualism and biliteracy and also establish mutual respect and appreciation in their community. According to researchers, students in dual language immersion tend to have better skills, including better second language skills compared to students in traditional foreign language classes. They also have better cognitive skills since bilingual education helps them develop better divergent and creative thinking and also problem solving skills. Their cognitive flexibility is also higher because of learning another language, and the literacy skills they learn from another language also help them develop better English skills. Once they have better linguistic skills, they perform better in standard tests, and the dropout rate is also lower than traditional ESOL classes. DLI also cultivates students with positive attitude toward other cultures, and students in this program are better prepared for global job market and they are more able to adapt to be global citizens. In order to know more about DLI at this elementary school, I had an interview with Senora Shear, a second grade teacher at this school. In their DLI program, they use 80-20 model and 50-50 model. From pre-K to first grade, the first 80% of the day will be instructed in Spanish, and the last 20% of the day will be taught in English. From second grade, they will have English week and Spanish week. In English week, all classes will be taught in English, with only math and social studies taught in Spanish. And in Spanish week, all classes will be taught in Spanish, with only the extended learning time taught in English. This 50-50 model aims to expose students more in English for standard tests, which is only provided in English. Parents are also an important part for this program. This school creates Parent Academy as a community for parents. Parents and teachers will meet monthly. There are two types of meetings. The first one is social meeting. This kind of meeting aims to build community for parents who are from culturally diverse backgrounds. The second one is academic meeting, which informs parents what their children will learn. Some parents will be volunteers to present their home culture in classes. Parents also invest resources based on classroom needs. Before their kids join this DLI program, parents have to sign a 6-year contract. This contract keeps students in this DLI program. Another reason is for research, and this kind of research usually takes several years. Most teachers in this program are Spanish native bilinguals, and 6 countries are represented. Most teachers didn't know what is DLI before they started this program, so they have periodical meeting and training to develop their professional skills. They also go to conferences, read research articles, and have conversation with parents and students to adjust their teaching. Parents are also invited to in-class language development activities. They also have frequent cultural events. The school also invites guest speakers to give speech at school. They also build partnership with scholars and university. Do you still remember the conference La Cosecha we talked before? Dr. Dawn actually heard about this conference from a UGA professor, Dr. Lu Tolosa Consadont, or we usually call her Dr. Lu. Dr. Lu recommended the DLI conference to Dr. Dawn in 2015, and the next year when they started this program, she became the professor in residency at Oglethorpe Avenue Elementary School. Since 2016, she has been providing teaching and job-embedded professional development to DLI teachers at the school. Undergraduate and graduate students in her class from TESOL and World Language Education Department of University of Georgia also have on-site classes and co-teach practice at Oglethorpe Avenue Elementary School. This program makes great efforts to develop biliteracy. Students can read many kinds of books in both English and Spanish. They can also read e-books on their laptop. A reading app is installed on each student's laptop. Here are some pictures that I took in Senora Shear's classroom. These were two math books written in English. And this book is from a famous Asian American author, Grace Lin. Grace Lin's children's books are usually about Taiwanese American or Chinese American kids. By reading books like this one, students in this Spanish-English DLI program can know more about other ethnic groups. Senora Shear and her class read the Spanish book during their story time. This app is called RazKid. Videos and audios usually come with books on this app. After reading, students can have assessments by themselves on this app, and teachers can get reading reports immediately. During the independent reading time, students either read books that they pick from the library or books from RazKid. Teachers also pair English native-speaking students with Spanish native-speaking students as reading partners. Every day, they have small group reading with their language partners and also group reading as a whole class. After the group reading, they will have discussion, and the students also need to finish tasks such as reading report and reflection. Students can develop their teamwork skills, reading and speaking skills, and critical thinking skills as well through these reading activities. Senora Shear also told me that there are many challenges to do this DLI program. To some English native speaking parents, they are worried that they can't help their kids with their Spanish homework at home. They are also afraid that their kids will only talk in Spanish with them. And Spanish-speaking parents usually push their kids learn English harder because English is extremely critical for their kids' future success. And the shared concern from each side is the performance of standard tests in English. Students also face challenges. English native-speaking students usually find it hard to conjugate verbs and pronounce accented words correctly, and they have limited opportunities to practice Spanish after school. And Spanish-speaking students need to make extra efforts to adapt to the majority culture, and taking tests in English is another big challenge. During their daily interaction with their English-speaking peers, they can easily notice the differences of their home cultures and socioeconomic status. Students in this program are from various social classes, specifically from lower to upper class. For example, students whose families are undocumented immigrants versus students whose parents are both college professors. And teachers feel difficult to teach content in two languages, and some of them still need professional training for this DLI program. And the school also faces challenges too. Some political changing can be a big problem. Many people in the society still hold misconceptions against the DLI program or bilingual education, and they even try to close DLI programs in the state. Another problem is to recruit more qualified DLI teachers. There are many experienced foreign language teachers, but not many qualified and experienced DLI teachers. Finding teachers is a challenge that the whole school is facing, and the principal is still seeking ways and opportunities to find more teachers for this program. But the school still has some good news for us. Teachers noticed that both English and Spanish-speaking students are using both languages in more settings, and they build cultural awareness with their peers. And they also successfully developed their language and literacy skills. And through the partnership with Dr. Liu and other programs, teachers developed their teaching. They have better understanding of DLI now, and they're so proud that they built community in and out of classrooms. Parents are also glad that they can participate in the class and share their home languages and cultures with each other. Like their kids, they also have more mutual respect and appreciation within their parent academy. The school keeps enrolling more students in this DLI program, and the partnership with local community researchers and university is going very well. And their program can be a very successful example for other DLI programs. Now, I want to share my observation in this DLI program and my personal reflection with you. I've been visiting Sunila Shear's second grade class as a weekly volunteer. I go to her class every Tuesday from 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m., and I observed English and Spanish class, social study class, and sometimes science class. During my service and interaction with the teacher and the students, I noticed some very interesting things. Sometimes the different home background definitely led students' conversation to another direction. I didn't really know how to explain to a student that why she has to take school bus while her friends' parents can come to pick her up with a very fancy car. Students seemed very surprised when they found out that I don't speak Spanish and I'm not American either. And when I learned some Spanish from them and tried to speak Spanish with them, some students told me that I can't speak Spanish because that's not my language and my pronunciation is very bad. So, should I still try to learn Spanish? And how about people who are like me? But don't get me wrong, I really love working and learning with these kids. They are really impressive because each of them is very technology savvy. People think that students will be distracted by computers and other electronic devices in the classroom. But students showed me how to improve self-learning by using technology. Since students in their generation grow up with technology and social media, I think this kind of e-literacy is also very important. Thank you for watching this presentation. I look forward to your questions and feedback.